My name is Stephen Willis. I just remember growing up, we as a family, there was always a lot of partying going on. Everybody was out for a good time. I clung on to the streets, and what I considered a brotherhood was drinking, drugs, violence. I had already been to 7 different high schools. This is harder than I thought. Was going to the Army, and it ended horribly in less than 2 years. Ended up in jail. Looking at prison time, my girlfriend of like 6 months was pregnant. I lived as a violent addict adult as a child. I don't talk about this often. I was 22 years old when she was born, my first daughter. I had to go back and serve some more time after she was born, and when I come home, I had a good spirit. I had told myself that I was gonna do better. Instead, what do? I go back to what I know best. I ended up getting a job. I was miserable because I was gone, and my kid's mom and I just couldn't get along. And it was just constant. Now she's pregnant again at this time. All of a sudden, I found a new life with a new woman. It all started to crash. I introduced her to drugs and a side of alcohol and a life that she had never seen. Fast forward, at that point I was married, and I was having open sexual relationships with other women and using drugs as an excuse to my wife to get away with it. She told me that if it didn't change, that we were gonna have to make a decision. And so I spent 2015 Christmas alone by myself. For the first time in my life, I spent Christmas alone. I called a friend of mine. We did a lot of life together and a lot of crime together and a lot of dumb stuff, and a lot of drugs. And he had went to prison, and I hadn't really talked to him since he'd been out. He calls me one day. He just wanted to apologize and ask for my forgiveness for everything that we had gone through and done, and he was basically making amends with me because he had gotten right with God and he had sobered up. And at the time, I was struggling with trying to have a relationship with him because every time he came around me, I felt shameful and guilty talking to him because it was all lies. I couldn't look him in the eye and tell him that I was doing good because I wasn't. I was a mess. So I called Frank and I said, "Hey man, I know it's late, can I come over?" And he said, "Absolutely, my door's always open." So I went over to his house, and he started asking me what I was running from. And I'm like, "I'm not running from anything. I'm tired of being drugged down by all these people." And he's like, "Drugged down by all these people? Who are these people?" And I started thinking about it, and it was my family. And I'd never felt so stupid in my entire life. Like, how could my family drag me down, He looked over so serious and just said, "You're just running from God." For the first time, I had found myself face to face with the fact that I had made all these choices and I had dug myself into this hole, and I couldn't blame anybody else. Things started to really get better. My marriage got better. I started a business. I'd stopped the drugs, and I tried to quit smoking, and I had started to work on quitting drinking when my mom passed away on an accidental overdose. And so again, I felt alone. Everything that was going really good, it just came to a screeching halt really quick. Several occasions, drugs had came back online. My wife just looked at me, and I had came home high and drunk, and she had told me that this was it. I laid there and I thought, what am I doing? This is exactly what my parents struggled with my entire life. What am I doing laying here trying to think of an excuse that I could tell my wife that would justify what I had done? I made a pact with my wife that September 16th, I was done with the alcohol and the drugs and all the nonsense and the lies. When I came here for the first time and I saw bikers and I saw people in shorts and I saw, guys with beards and tattoos, and I just saw all these different people. I don't know, when I walked through the doors, I had that feeling come over me, like I was in the right place. Staying plugged in at the church and getting out of my comfort zone and going to men's breakfasts and discipling other men and letting other men disciple me, I am no longer ashamed to say that I read my Bible, or that I give it all to God, or that I put God first, or that I tithe to my church, because without Him I wouldn't be the man that I am today or have the opportunities that I have moving forward with my life. And that's thanks in itself.